newest MCU movie, Captain America: Brave New World. Alvin just saw it yesterday. I saw it on Thursday, and there's a lot of conversation going around this movie. I guess apparently it was reshot 4 times, but then now the director is coming out and saying it hasn't been reshot more than once. We don't know what is true, and then there's leaked character concept art that now has been reshuffled or just completely redesigned or cut out of the movie. So this is going to be a very, very interesting, I guess, story to follow once they do the Marvel Assembled on it. But let's just go ahead into our quick thoughts for Brave New World. Alvin, do you want to give them a little synopsis about the movie for people that maybe haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I have not seen it. Do you think that they need to watch that going into this?
This movie, you need to do your homework, all right? This movie picks up threads from 17 years
Years
ago.
ago.
That is almost a US adult, all right?
That is
That is
nuts.
almost an adult.
Yes.
That is crazy. We were wee lads when The Incredible Hulk came out, all right?
Yes.
And now 17 years later, they're picking up on threads from that movie. So, yes, homework is required. Incredible Hulk, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame,
Eternals.
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 This movie is worth the price of admission alone just to see Harrison Ford explain the plot of Eternals. All right? Tell me I'm wrong.
He is actually pretty great in this, I thought. I thought Harrison Ford commits to
Yeah.
Ross, but I would be lying if I said I didn't. Part of me didn't wish that we could have seen William Hurt return as
Same.
Ross, because
Same.
like Alvin is saying, 17 years after Incredible Hulk, that's a GED practically worth of time for
Yeah.
them picking up strands of that movie. And I watched it with Nick on Thursday night. It was a packed theater, preview night, and it was. I think it's not going to be as bad as everyone is saying it is, because it feels like with the MCU, there's the joke of every other movie is the MCU is dead, the MCU is back, the MCU is dead, and I do think this is a lower point in the catalog of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But to me, I think what is really weird is, like Alvin is saying, there's Red Hulk and other characters from the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I guess we're going to spoilers. This feels like it isn't really a vehicle for Anthony Mackie to kind of really step into the shoes of Captain America, which I thought was so weird. And I know, as someone that didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there were conversations and topics that I was expecting the movie to tackle, like what does it mean to be Captain America? What does it mean to be a black Captain America in America? And they don't really address anything like that in the movie as much as I would have hoped. But I will say a shining bright light in this movie for me was Isaiah Bradley. He was only in it for maybe 15, 20 minutes, but the opening of this movie, like I think the pacing is a little uneven, but I thought like Act 1 was actually pretty damn good. I don't know how you felt, Alvin, because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I've been hearing everyone say this movie is like a flop, but I'm like, I'm loving it so far. I don't know if it was because I went in with lower expectations or just it was, I think, a stronger vision. And I think it's probably the latter. Of it feels like the first part of the movie kind of was the initial story, and then I think they had to reshuffle. But what were your thoughts?
I guess going back to a quick synopsis is pretty much just Sam Wilson is now taking on the mantle for Captain America. He's been Captain America for 3 years, and he is tasked by President Ross to reassemble the Avengers, and pretty much the Celestial that popped up from Eternals, the world is trying to mine it, and like the real world, whenever something new comes up, new technology, whatever, they're
Something
trying to like,
valuable.
yeah, they're trying to weaponize it, kind of commodify it. So that's how they get adamantium in this universe.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the plot. There's like a
Yeah.
mystery intrigue aspect to it, I
And
guess.
a
Or
peace treaty. So like Alvin is saying, there's this kind of aspect, like Alvin is saying, if all of these nations are going after this rare mineral, President Ross, he's like, oh, this is I think it was like his first. Was it like he was just sworn in at the beginning? Like he's
Yeah, so
in office right at the
the,
beginning, right?
the beginning of the movie, he just won the election. Then it
Yeah.
jumps to 5 months later. He was saying that it's his first 100 days in office.
Got it. Yeah, first 100 days in office. So he's like saying, I want to make a legacy for myself. I want to break out of the reputation that I've had as Thunderbolt Ross. So he's like, a great way for me to kind of break that reputation is I want to have a peace treaty amongst all these other nations regarding adamantium. And that feels like, I don't know, like such a small sub or like plot line that I think really takes away from it being a personal story for Cap. Because I'm guessing if you guys have seen the trailer, Isaiah Bradley becomes like some sort of sleeper agent and he almost assassinates the president. And then he has to kind of unravel this mystery, which a lot of people have said does feel like the Winter Soldier, which I can see the comparisons to. But there's just so many characters. Like he has to interact with uh, President Hulk or President Ross, Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito, apparently not Esposito, which I thought was kind of crazy. And then also the main villain, which is the leader. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we texted about it yesterday. This movie initially, I don't like I don't want to pull the soups right now, but congratulations to everyone who's made this movie. It's an achievement to create a piece of film and art. However, this film was just not my cup of tea. Like, I feel nothing for this movie. This movie, the fact that, we've been hearing that it's been going through so many reshoots and
Production
it
hell.
became this, that's an achievement. I will give it its props, right? It is a watchable film, but as a first movie of Sam Wilson Captain America, this is not how it should have
It's a
been.
misstep.
Why are you giving Sam Wilson Incredible Hulk villains to fight?
Yes.
Right? That is so weird to me. Where, yes, you can have President Ross have a presence in a political movie, but having him turn into the Red Hulk at the very end for 3 minutes
Which was
is
played like a twist. Like, they're like, "Oh, what's happening with his medicine?" Like,
yeah,
what's wrong with you? So
yeah,
it really, yeah, like you're saying, he's in it for so little that it's like, oh,
yeah,
if the marketing included him so heavily, I feel like you would expect him to be a much bigger presence.
yeah,
But
right. Um, I kind of use this term when movies I feel nothing for them. This is the Solo, a Star Wars story of Marvel, because Solo pretty much got similar treatment where it was mutilated, it was kind of like cut together, sewn back together, it was re-edited, and the fact that it came out like that is I commend it.
yeah,
However, it was just not for me. Um kind of going more into my thoughts. I really don't know if there are any spoilers to talk about this movie. This movie is so sauceless, dude. I'm
yes,
using that word. This movie has no sauce. This movie has no balls. This movie has
I agree with the
nothing.
ball. Yeah, there are no balls when it comes to commentary. I think.
The only balls is the leader. That
Yes,
dude looks like my mutilated ball sack. All right.
yes, yes,
So that design was gross. I get
yes,
it that because it kind of ties into the early development of this movie where we've seen lead concept arts of Samuel Stearns the leader and he doesn't look like a dog just bit on my ball sack, my nut sack,
yes,
right?
yes,
So like it's just a big head with a head of hair, right? Why does he
yes,
look like that now? And I sent you the TikTok where he's not really in scenes with other characters, or what I'm saying,
yes.
like, right?
So I think that means everything that he has that's in the movie must have been all new scenes because, like how you're saying, he's never in the same like shot as someone else. It's always a
Yeah,
cutaway. But
yeah,
Are you saying that you didn't like his original design where it was just a big head of hair? Because I actually thought that looked great. I'm like, man, that would have been perfect for the
Yeah.
leader.
No, I do like
Yeah.
the you're talking about the original concept art, right? With the big head?
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily concept art because I think it was promotional material. So I think that was actually made. Like he looked like
Yeah.
that in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
guess yeah, I do like that design.
yeah,
I do think if they want to go with the more realistic, like a chopped up nutsack,
yeah,
what they had in the movie, you could combine them and because he is like that in the comics where he has like two balls, two bulging balls
yeah.
as a head,
Yes.
right? You can just do that. I don't understand why they just like they made it
Well, they
very
did do the
real
ball
world.
sack thing though. I thought that's what
Yes.
you didn't want the ball sack, or you're saying
It
bring
was
the
just
ball
not
sack but get rid of the veins. What are you saying, Alvin? Let the people
dude, this
know.
video is gonna get demonetized if anyone decides to watch this. like
Yes.
like we it's
Lose the veins.
let's move away from Samuel Stearns and just talk about the movie that we
Yeah.
saw. Um
Cause
there were
is it
so
easier?
many
Do you want to go into the pros and then we go into cons, or how did you want to position this? Because I thought one thing would be interesting is I would want to pitch to you how I think this movie could have been great, how it could have been brave, how it could have been new, how it could have been world.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Um yeah, I think that go into it because I'm still trying to
Yes.
gather my thoughts. I think this might be a discussion where the more that I talk about it, the more frustrated I am with the product that I saw.
Hmm.
That might be it. I don't know.
So let me go into my thoughts. I guess what I thought was good. I do think Harrison Ford is great as President Ross, because his whole thing is he just doesn't have a relationship with his daughter anymore, Betty Ross, which I did not like that they said, oh, ex girlfriend of Bruce Banner, which just reminds me, like, man, they ruined that relationship, and they just ruined Bruce Banner as a character for the most part. But his whole thing is, I'm trying to erase this past, like wipe away the sins of his past. I think that stuff is great, and there's a great moment when he's asking Captain America, "Oh, I need you to build the Avengers again." Like that stuff is great. Like he says, "Oh, work with me." That made me really excited for this being like not to say a buddy cop, but just a really tense like drama about what it's like working under the president and the burden that Sam Wilson would have under that. But they get rid of that so quickly after the assassination attempt. He's like, "I'm not going to let you investigate Isaiah Bradley. The country would not like to see Captain America do his own investigation. You're off the case," and they almost become antagonistic towards each other for the rest of the movie. So I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. But I thought it was a great relationship he had with Isaiah Bradley and Falcon. I thought Joaquin Torres, when he wasn't being the MCU joke machine, I thought he was actually pretty cool. He was very charming. I don't know how it was for you in your theater, but every time he would do the like MCU joke, it was practically silent in my theater. I feel like a lot of people are now just seeing the formula, seeing the pattern of the MCU comedy, and I don't think it works anymore. So I thought for Falcon, that was kind of a missed opportunity. Or just keep him serious. This movie should not have been a jokey movie because people keep saying, "Oh, it's a 1970s political thriller," and like they don't really compare, like talk about which movies they're comparing it to. Like, so I'm convinced the people that say that haven't seen 1970s political thrillers to compare it to. They just think Winter Soldier is that. But I think Falcon was interesting. Isaiah Bradley I thought was great, but it's even the action. I thought it was too much action. Where I'm like, I don't know if a lot of people would agree with this. I wanted way less action and just more conversations because there's a great line in the show that I saw where it's like Isaiah Bradley is saying, America is never going to want a black Captain America, and any self respecting black man would not want to be the face of America as Captain America. So I thought there was going to be interesting commentary there. There wasn't. But I thought what the movie tried to do, and they did pretty well, is highlighting that Sam Wilson did not take the super soldier serum. I thought that was actually done pretty well. Like you don't really see anything like Captain America have like a sling. So like at the end of this movie, after the whole fight with the Hulk, you see Captain America like he has a broken arm. He has like stab wounds throughout the whole movie, and he has like this conversation, which I'm curious how it worked for you with the Bucky cameo. I thought the conversation that they were having, the message, I thought that was great. That just needed to be shown earlier for him to feel all of this insecurity about himself. But how did you feel about Bucky and that conversation? Because that was a big moment in our theater. People started clapping, which I know Nick kind of rolled his eyes about. But Nick just because Nick loves the show and he hated that cameo. He's like, dude, this is so bullshit. The show did that conversation like way better. But how was it for you?
I guess going to the theater experience, this is IMAX 3D, 12:40 p.m. Probably so the theater
Packed
it's the one we went to for Avatar. It's a big theater,
and
right?
Deadpool, right?
And Deadpool. Yes. It's a huge theater. I want to say there are only 40 people.
What? On
Dead
a Saturday
silent.
morning?
Saturday 12:30 p.m.
That's crazy.
Dead silent. We had like a whole row to ourselves. The row in front of us empty.
Damn.
Yes. I don't know if it has to do because it was a long weekend, people are out of town, many
Early,
factors,
maybe. Early morning.
maybe, but like that's crazy to me. A Captain America movie is not filling up seats, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the Bucky cameo, all 40 people, like the very small amount of people in the theater, there were a lot of gasps.
Okay, they were surprised?
They were surprised, and it's like, oh, it's Bucky. It was cool. Bless you.
Thanks.
It was cool to see Sebastian Stan. I feel like he should have been in the movie a little bit more, just because I like that dynamic. But um, I don't know. This review might be boring because the movie is just boring. I have nothing truly to say about this movie. This is the definition of wait for Disney Plus, in my
Yeah, because
opinion.
this did feel like a Disney Plus original, where like you're saying, there's not much to spoil, but I think like Giancarlo. I mean, I don't know what they did with his character. He was really just popped in, popped out, never heard of again. But I actually did like the aspect you brought up of should Bucky have been in this movie more, and I would say yes, because I think my big issue is as a viewer of just the movies mainly, is I think a lot of these characters aren't really developed. Like I think Falcon, that dynamic isn't really earned, or not. Today it's not earned, but it just kind of throws you in. And I feel like for me, or like I would have wanted a more interesting dynamic. If you're gonna have a sidekick, right? You should not have two funny guys. They try to make Falcon the joke machine, and then also Captain America. He's not as like straight edge as Chris Evans or Steve Rogers, so he still has jokes. So I'm like, both you guys can't be cracking jokes. I need some kind of like a push and pull between the two of you guys, so that dynamic was missing. Where it would have been interesting to see if instead of getting Isaiah Bradley arrested in the beginning, because he is arrested, he becomes a sleeper agent, and they essentially are going to give him the death penalty. So that's what puts Captain America on this whole mission of trying to clear his name. But I'm like, what if we got to see two Captain Americas work side by side in this movie? What if we change the story instead of having Falcon be the sidekick, it's Isaiah Bradley, and it's not only two Captain Americas, two black Captain Americas, but a Captain America of the past and the Captain America of today. And then both get to kind of teach each other and they get to learn from each other because I mean, you watch a lot of movies, so you understand that for the main character, they need to have like a flaw or an overall want that they need to strive towards so that they feel like they have an objective, a goal. And for Sam Wilson, Captain America, he doesn't really have that. He is such a I don't want to say passive character, but it's like everything is happening around him. Uh, Ross wants to have a peace treaty go through. He wants to reconnect with his daughter. Isaiah Bradley, he wants to get off of death row. What does Sam Wilson have? He doesn't really have anything going on that's motivating him aside from I need to stop the president. I need to stop Sidewinder. I need to save uh, Isaiah. It's like he's such a boring character that I think if we reworked it where he can be flawed and have something to kind of learn, at the end. Like I don't know how they do it with John Walker, but I don't know. It's just like you're saying. It's such a filler movie, and not like at least in a fun way. At least in I think the beginning had so much promise, but do we want to go into the leader or like what do you want to talk about? Is there anything to talk about?
I'm telling you right now, I have like nothing of substance to talk about because this movie doesn't give me anything of substance to talk about,
To think about.
right?
Yeah.
To think about. Like everything that you're talking about, I feel like is addressed in the show. So I'm just like, just watch the show. This movie feels like
Would you have liked if they retreaded topics from the show? Because I don't know if a lot of people even watched it. Like, it's not WandaVision numbers, it's not probably Loki numbers. So, for you as an audience member, would you have been okay if they gave you a good story that is a retread of something you just saw like 5 years ago? Or would you have preferred this?
I think that I would not want it to be a retread because the show is 6 episodes and it does give itself time to, kind of stretch out and kind of all of that. Um, I think that there could have been an interesting story without shoehorning Hulk characters in it. Like this is the consensus that I've been seeing online. This is a Incredible Hulk sequel that just happens to have Captain America.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've been feeling it lately, because we've been watching the past few movies together, right? The MCU movies. This it started with like Ant-Man for me. Ant-Man, Guardians, The Marvels, Deadpool, Captain America, right? They don't feel like there's anything, it's not leading towards anything. Like
Which I'm okay
it
with.
it feels like singular issues of a comic book
Yes.
compared to,
An
back in
episode of a
phases one
season. Like a
in
it's
in
building
phases
it's
1 through 3, the movies would be arcs. They would take a trade paperback, right?
yes.
It would be a Winter Soldier. It would be a Civil War. It would be like Spider-Man's origin. It would be like a Mysterio thing. It would be like a Black Panther discovering Wakanda and kind of helping the world and Killmonger. Like they would feel like substantial stories that would be kind of shredded into a 2 hour, 2.5 hour time frame.
Yeah.
These movies feel like singular issues that could be resolved in an episode of TV that has been stretched thin,
Yes.
where you're not adding stuff in it to kind of like make it more like give it just pizzazz or kind of like just give it something to justify it being a movie rather than just having it be filler, because honestly I feel like you don't need to watch this movie, you don't need to watch the Marvels, you don't need to watch Ant-Man. Guardians 3 is great but ultimately
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with the wider story. Deadpool, you know how I feel about Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like the past few movies, it just feels aimless. And
Yes, I was
I
about to use
think,
that exact same word was aimless.
right? And
Yes.
keep this in mind, there are two more movies until Avengers Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yes.
What the hell, dude?
Yes.
At least back in phases 1 through 3, they would have you would feel some type of way when you see the post credits and it's teasing the next one or like Infinity War or something. They don't even do this anymore, right? They don't even say Captain America will return in Avengers Doomsday. They
They
just
didn't
say
say
Captain
return. They're
America
like,
will
we don't know
return.
where he's gonna come back one day.
Yes, right?
Yes.
It feels aimless. You don't see Shang-Chi since 2021. Doctor Strange, where's he been? Thor, what's he doing? Black Panther. This could have been a perfect avenue to at least show what Wakanda has been doing since Wakanda Forever, because his suit is made out of vibranium and the
Yes.
Wakandans are actually in Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yes, they
Okay,
are in
cool.
it. So I really just like I don't think this is an insult, but a this feels like one of the movies from the Chapek era.
What was
I
in the
I
Chapek era? Shang-Chi, like, so
yeah,
I'm gonna have to push
I
back a
couldn't
little bit.
see Bob Iger greenlighting this movie back then without any substance to it, you know? Like it just
Is
Again,
it a
I
Bob
don't
Iger
know.
thing though, or is it a Kevin Feige thing? I feel
I think
like
it's a Feige thing. I don't know why I brought Iger in. I think it's a
yeah,
Feige thing, and I
yeah.
think it's a Marvel thing. I think it just feels like I don't know if they're gonna course correct, but this chunk of movies just feels like throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, right?
Yes, I agree.
Um,
But let me just add. I want to push back just a little bit because uh, like we already know on the channel, you know me, they're like big Foxman era fans of those Marvel movies, right? And I'm gonna say for this era of the MCU, even though it does feel like it's not building to an overall arc, that to me isn't necessarily a bad thing if like you're saying it's a single issue, right? Like we read a lot of comics where it's like a one shot, like your life story, stuff like that. Um, but I think that it means the movie has to be good if you're saying what justifies it in the arc of the story. I'm like, if you're not going to be an episode in the machine, at least be a great story, which that's why I really respect and love Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where I don't need these superhero movies to be so worried about an overarching villain, because, like, the ones that we grew up with, X-Men, Spider-Man, those are just interested in telling the story about this certain character. And I do like that aspect of it. Like, it does suck that we haven't seen Shang-Chi since, like, what, 2019, 2020? But I'm grateful for the story that we got in it. And I loved Wenwu. I thought Shang-Chi is great. Um, so I'm okay if we enter that era of Marvel movies because I think even for the audience, I think they would like the idea of not feeling that baggage and that like overbearing kind of responsibility. I need to watch everything in order to appreciate this one thing. So just to your point, I don't think it needs to connect in order for it to be good. Like this one could have been a standalone, but it is hard where if they keep saying we're gonna build the new Avengers, we're gonna build the new Avengers, but then you don't really get any scale or scope of the world since the last 5 years. Like you're saying, that's crazy. The only two movies that we get before Doomsday are going to be Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. And I really doubt Thunderbolts is going to build anything into the multiverse. So it's really going to be one movie, which is Fantastic Four. And I'm pretty sure we all think that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in that, so they can set it up in that way. So if they treat Fantastic Four, Doomsday, and Secret Wars as its own almost trilogy, and it's just one chapter in a big movie, it could work. But I mean, it's I think it's warranted for us to feel worried about where it's going because, like you're saying, they're just throwing so much shit on the wall, seeing what sticks. Like, where's Hercules? Where's what's her name? Cleo? Is that who Charlize Theron plays?
yeah,
Where's
Charlize Theron.
where's
Where's Harry
Star
Styles?
Fox? Yeah, all these characters. It's like they are so aimless, directionless. Where um, I know they're going to be building towards a reboot, and I know how I was telling you earlier. I recently finished reading Ultimatum, and part of me thinks maybe they need an ultimatum in this universe before a reboot. I think we need one giant like cleaning of the slate.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I The idea of a reboot is I welcome it because it's very ballsy, but I would like I don't feel like these actors got their
They deserve.
due
They don't deserve to be rebooted. That's how you feel.
because if they reboot Cap, if they reboot like Captain Marvel, Kamala, what is it,
Con-
Kamala Khan? Oh my God, bro. Um, all these characters that they introduced within the last phase, they just decide, oh, it didn't do well, cut them out. Like you're not,
Unless they do the James Gunn, because I mean, like in Secret Wars, certain characters get pulled over to the new universe. So I would expect Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie to come back. Um, Brie Larson, I don't know. She's been in the MC for a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if she's bored and wants to do something else. But then again, the paycheck is probably so good for these actors where they're like, yeah, I'll come in for 2 weeks to film something in Avengers 7 and then get paid like $10 million.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so you think if they do a reboot, they would do a full reboot? Would you want a full reboot? Do you like a full reboot?
I think in in Marvel and Disney's eyes, when they say reboot, I really just think they're pivoting, and I think they're just gonna focus on X-Men, Fantastic Four because those haven't been seen. And I think you will be seeing less of the mainstay characters, right? Which
Except I
I
think
don't know.
Cap I don't even know what they're doing with Ironheart if she's going to be the new face of Iron Man. But I do think you're right. So that means Shang-Chi's just is shit out of luck. He's not going to be um like are they not doing the new Avengers? Are they not doing Kid Avengers? 'Cause to me, I feel like for Disney, the Avengers hold so much monetary value. I think they have more faith in that than the X-Men. So I would be surprised if they fully bet on X-Men. But even then, I would just be scared because I'm like, oh, I'm already seeing how they treat certain characters. I don't want them to touch the X-Men and mess that up. But
Yeah.
I don't know because
Um, I
it's
guess,
Avengers campus, not X-Men campus. So I still feel like
yeah.
they're gonna always keep that foot in that door.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a whole different video and a whole different conversation. I think we lost sight of like this Captain America thing because there's just so much to talk about in terms of just like the grander scheme of things, I suppose. I'm not talking about there's a lot to talk about for the movie because there ultimately is not. As you can see, for the past 10 minutes, we've not even been talking about this movie. We've been talking
I did
about the
have one thing.
possibility.
If we want to go back, I did have something to bring up of Captain America: Brave New World, or do you want to keep it on the conversation we're having now?
No, I'd love to talk about this in a separate thing because there's
Okay,
so much to talk about, but I
got it.
think going back to the movie, please bring
Okay,
up what you're going to talk
yes.
about.
So let me say this. Let's talk about the leader. You know, everyone knows the leader's in it, but we didn't really go too much into what his motivation is in the movie. And I thought initially it's actually really interesting. So the whole thing is that he is working under the president, or he's working for Ross before he became president, and after becoming a mutated version of himself, after I think getting Bruce's blood in his bloodstream, he gets the power of probability. I thought he had some sort of telekinesis powers in the books, but I've never read anything about the leader, so maybe it's just super intelligence. I don't know. I guess it would be super intelligence if it's brain versus brawn. But yeah, so he is like a guinea, or I don't want to say a guinea pig, but like essentially the servant to Ross. I'll do everything you need me to do. I'm gonna give you the medicine that you need because you're apparently dying, and I'm gonna help you win this election, which could have been a very interesting topic of rigged election. You know, some sort of form like that if they had any spine. But so yeah, he helps Ross do become president, and in exchange, he said, "Once I help you become president, you're gonna help me cure myself of this mutation because I don't have a life anymore." Because like Alvin said in the beginning of the video, you know, he looks like a mutilated, sweaty ball sack that was bitten by a dog. He doesn't look like the supervillain, so they want to make him sympathetic. They want to make him a victim, which to me would have been very interesting if they actually committed to that, because I think the leader maybe only kills like 5, 6 people in this movie, which to me was bullshit. Why was he sent to maximum security prison when the president did everything to him and he was just wanting to get revenge? So, but that's besides the point. They want to make him sympathetic, and the movie doesn't ever operate in the gray. It's only black and it's only white. Captain America, good guy. President Ross, good guy, becomes evil and then becomes a good guy again, and we have to forgive him of all of his sins because he felt bad and he wants to get a better relationship with his daughter. But they don't do anything like that for the leader. They don't want you to ever question or even think about the fact that he was taken advantage of and is a victim and kicked to the curb. Where like he willingly turns himself in just so he can spread the truth of what Ross did. But the movie doesn't really care because they're like, we got to move on to the next fight that we need to have. So I thought for the leader, if they actually painted him as a more of a victim and more sympathetic, I would be more willing to see him again in the future. But I'm like, Tim Blake Nelson is a great actor, and I think he's great as the leader. He's never bad in anything he's in. But I'm like, man, they could have given his character more meat. If he's a victim, make him a victim, make us question the powers of our country, make us question the president. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, Again, like I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the leader design just looks like
Like
a
a mutated,
disgusting
sweaty ball sack.
dude. It looks like a chopped up, gross, mutated, like
Raisin.
warp. It just looks like a like it's so like I don't know if I use this term. He looks like a ball sack, bro. Looks straight up like a ball sack. All right.
That's so stupid.
Um, I don't know if you can tell, but that's the running joke that I was talking
Yes, I
about.
can tell. I can tell. Yes.
Um, so like, cause I watched it with my sister and Kevin and Kevin's brother Justin, and they they probably have seen Incredible Hulk passing just because it's part of the MCU, but you don't remember who Samuel Stearns is. You don't remember all these things from that movie. So me having rewatched it this week,
Hmm.
it doesn't feel in line with the character, right? That they set up
Um,
in Incredible Hulk.
I don't remember. Was he nefarious in the first one, or because he was kind of nice to Bruce?
He was a nice dude. I think his biggest thing is just he was very curious.
Yes.
And I think a very interesting way to kind of spin his character instead of him fully committing to this villainous role is just to have him kind of like I don't really like I had it in my brain, but I lost it when we were doing the ball sack
Ball
riff.
sack joke.
Um dude, but like it's kind of like he fears the world around him and kind of like thinking about how it will treat him because he looks different or like blah 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 blah. Like he just you don't really see him kind of go through getting used to society again, I
Because
guess.
in 17 years, though, they waited so long where it's
I
like by the time he got to have the interesting aspect of acclimating to that life, he was just thrown into a prison, I guess, and then we don't see him for 17 years. So, all right.
scratch what I said. What I said was stupid. Show us using his powers. He's just using a computer screen. How is he? He's just telling us these things. Based off of my calculations, there is a 37.89% chance that you will survive this interaction. How do you know this, dude? Your head is literally a sack of balls.
Jesus Christ. How would you want them to show like the John C. Riley meme of with numbers flying around the screen or what?
Hey, don't ask me. That is not my job. That is Julius Ona's job as a director and cinematographer and Marvel's job to think of a better script.
Yes, but like how you're saying. I actually liked the aspect of him not being super. Because in this, I don't think he was necessarily like a super villain. He was just a victim, and there was a one cool Easter egg that Nick caught when we are watching the movie is his activation song is actually Mr. Blue. Like the lyric is Mr. Blue, which that was his screen name in Incredible Hulk. Mr.
Fairly
Blue, Mr.
obvious.
Green, huh?
I thought that was fairly obvious.
Yeah, but I don't know if a lot of people are gonna remember that. Oh, his code name or his screen name when he was talking to Bruce was Mr. Blue. For a lot of people, they didn't rewatch the Incredible Hulk, so they don't
There's
even
yeah.
understand what the song is. So I'm like, that's a cool
No,
reference.
dude. Like as an audience member, if I haven't seen The Incredible Hulk, I'd probably be like, "What is this guy doing playing this song? And why does he look like a disgusting, gross, like nasty,
Mutilated.
warded up ball sack?"
Yeah. Yes.
This is disgusting, bro.
It is
Right?
disgusting, but it's sad. It's sad. But the movie doesn't give a
Ugh.
shit because he has to be a bad
Um,
guy. We have to have Captain
yeah,
America save the day, and the
yeah,
United States has to be the hero. And there
yeah.
was one annoying idea that they posed for Captain America where he's like, um, uh, we have to be able to see eye to eye, and we have to respect all different opinions. I'm like, no, you fucking don't. If an opinion is wrong, or if it's hurting other innocent people, or if uh, the president is corrupt, you don't have to say, oh, we need to work together and respect each other. to be united again. I'm like, no, you got to clean the corruption out of the country. But I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm a little
Um,
radical.
what were your thoughts on Ruth Bat Saraf?
She was nothing of a character. They gave her no development at all or characterization. Did you notice that she had the super suit?
I tried looking for it, but I couldn't tell.
It looked exactly like a blue version of like Captain Marvel's costume, or even like
Really?
Monica Rambeau. Yeah, so it's when they're walking through a tunnel after getting the information from Sidewinder. She has like a leather jacket covering it. I'm like, oh, okay, that was her costume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no opinions on her. It was hard to watch the movie and not let the controversy of that character kind of seep in. I already had that on my mind when I was watching it, so I wasn't really the biggest fan of her character. But
Mhm.
yeah, what about you?
Um, I don't know. I saw that it was supposed to be Jennifer Walters, like in a very, very early
I would have loved to see She-Hulk in this.
draft. Dude, at least have some character from Hulk's story show up and
In a
help
Hulk
Captain
movie.
America. Okay, I think this
Bruce should have
video,
been here. Bruce should have been here.
yes.
And also, I'll say this: why didn't Betty? Betty should have been the one that snapped Ross out of his anger rampage. I'm like, how about you don't have him say, "Oh, what would Betty do?" And you can have it be instead a show don't tell. Maybe he sees a puddle of himself and he sees this hulking monster and he became what he always hated. Maybe he invited Betty to that inauguration or that speech for the peace treaty and he sees the fear in her eyes and that's what snaps him out of it. Because I'm like, it was just so convenient and um, Captain America doesn't really know Betty, so that speech came out of nowhere. But I don't know.
I think ways to improve this movie because this video that we are discussing has just had no
It
like
has no
through line.
structure. It has no structure
Exactly.
like this movie had no structure.
Exactly. At least have the guts to pay Liv Tyler so she can be a supporting role. But also shout out to her agent for giving her like 2 minutes of screen time and having a with credit. Can we give her a shout out?
I
She
was
girl bossed.
surprised by that. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me?
Dude, she girl bossed that, I will say.
Yes.
What a legend.
Should have been
But
in the movie more.
have her be in the movie, dude. Have her show
Do
her,
something.
yes. Also bring back Phil Dunphy. Bring back Ty Burrell.
Well, no, I wouldn't want to see him back because I still want her to be in love with Bruce. So,
Yeah, but he's a therapist, I guess. So have him be close to Ross and have him be his therapist.
um,
Fix his anger issues.
well, he didn't know he had anger issues yet. He thought he just had heart problems.
Dude, the pills have been
Gamma
imbuing me with
irradiated. That was the
gamma.
dumbest thing I ever heard.
Go to an actual doctor instead of some dude who has the head of an actual chopped up, gross, grotesque, mutilated, mutated nutsack.
Yeah, you switched it up there. That was good. I'm
Yes.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like, show. I don't know, dude. I'm kind of done. I've been done like 20 minutes ago, and I'm kind of just like riffing for this video. But like, it's crazy how just have like Chris
this
Evans.
this movie, I think, for a lot of people, I mean, they keep saying worst cinema score out of the entire MCU and 33 out of 35 in terms of ranking. I don't know if this is gonna have the same, like, I guess, ill-fated like discussion on it like Quantumania, because I don't know if it's as bad as Quantumania. Part of me is like it isn't, but the other part of me was like at least Quantumania felt like a well-constructed story versus this one just felt like a mishmash. But I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't
I
know.
think we need a reboot. We need a reboot, and we
I
need the
agree.
maker.
I agree. I agree. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Yes.
Sorry, my dog is.
Have you told
And
Obi
we're
your name yet?
what happened?
Have you told Obi what your name was yet?
I have. So he's been repeating it back.
Oh, that's why
Yeah.
he's barking.
Yeah. 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 Um.
Okay. But
I'm
yeah, since
done,
it seems
bro.
like you're done with this video, you're done with this movie, I think you're done with the MCU.
I am so sorry to whoever watches this video because this is probably one of the most unstructured videos we've produced because I had no talking points because this movie gave me nothing. All right? Go watch
Except your
something
really
good.
good running gag.
Yes. Go watch something good, please. Go watch something of substance. Go watch
Or
The
read.
Substance.
Read something of substance. I went to Frankenstein's today, and I was actually considering picking up this book from Marvel. It's called Truth, Red, White, and Black. And it's the story of Isaiah Bradley. And I'm like, we always say it on this channel. Don't rely on just the movies to give you your superhero story, Phil. Alvin just let Omid borrow life story. Nick's going to be going to the Ultimates after I recommend it to him. There's a lot of great stories that you can find book wise, and I know Alvin just finished reading Hulk Gray after Omid recommended it to him, so maybe they'll have a discussion on that soon. But yeah, even if this movie was a flop or failed for you, or even if you liked it, and there's even more that you want to discover about these characters, go out and read. Go out and read. Find the stories that you want. Don't wait for the MCU to adapt it, and it's going to take you years. But anything else, Alvin, before we sign off?
Um, this movie did Anthony Mackie justice. I don't know if he's a leading man, but I do hope that he stays around as Captain America to lead the Avengers because I think if he gets good material, he can be a good Captain America. So give him good
Yes.
material so he can be a good Captain America so he can lead, all right?
Yes,
Because he
I
has
loved him as Cap. I think he's great.
exactly. He shines when he's able to shine. Give him material so he can do that. All right. I don't want the comparison. I don't want them to have backlash. I don't want them to bring back Chris Evans because of how this movie was received. Right. Sam Wilson is now Captain America. That
Deal
is,
with it.
deal with it. Right. So I'm not telling you to watch the movie, but I just hope that this movie doesn't take away from Anthony Mackie's opportunity to be a leading man because he to me has not been proven as leading man. This movie does not prove to me that he can be, but I think with the right material, he is able to be a leading man.
Yes, and it sucks to say that it seems like his two big solo projects have had external factors that kind of affected it with COVID for the series. From what I've heard, they had to kind of rework parts of it, and then this. But I actually do think he has the potential to be a great leading man. I enjoyed him in this. He's great in Twisted Metal, so I do want to see him come back and lead the Avengers because I think he's ready for it. He definitely put his time, and I think he earned it. So those are our thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World. It sounds like the consensus, or did you even give them your score? Let's give them a score
I
before we sign
don't
out.
I don't think I gave him the score. The score is I would give it like a 5. Straight up 5 out of 10 down the middle. I would probably rewatch it on Disney Plus,
I think Dark
but
Phoenix is better than this as
what
a
would you
movie.
say?
I think Dark Phoenix is a better movie.
I really don't know, dude.
Are you kidding me? It actually has a story. It has a story. There are arcs.
Dude,
Come on, man.
I
Just because
haven't seen that
there's no Red
movie.
Hulk.
I haven't seen that movie since 2019. All right,
I know,
so
I
don't
know. We
blame
did
me.
a Talent events last year. I know you didn't watch it
Exactly.
since 2019. But yeah,
Um,
you give it 5. You said
5 out of 10. This movie is not as bad as people been saying, but it's not as good as it could be.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I agree. I think I'm landing at like a 5.5. It's not as bad as it could have been, but it's not as great as it should have been. It should have been great. It could have been an incredible opportunity, like they said. This is going to be kind of the new turn of Marvel movies. I think Anthony Mackie said that like during the premiere. Like this is going to be the new age of the Avengers. This isn't that. This felt very much like a misstep, just like how Quantumania was a really big misstep for their um, catalog. But I'm excited for more. I do think the Thunderbolts actually has a really good chance to be great. Every trailer I've seen has gotten me more and more excited. So we're definitely going to be watching that, having a review out, talking about everything Marvel or everything Thunderbolts, and yeah, what's up?
I have one last thing to say. That's coming out the day we come back from our trip. So let's go straight
May
from the
2nd?
airport straight to the theater.
Yes. Because we come back like on what, Friday or Saturday?
Thursday.
Friday. Thursday, yeah, so we have the weekend. I
Yeah.
say we run it. I say we run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been me, Amir, we got Alvin. We just had a pretty great time. I had a lot of fun talking about Brave New World. Let us know your thoughts. This seems like it's going to be discussed for a bit. Not everyone sees eye to eye on it. But I want to see if there's stuff that you like that maybe we missed. We only saw it once. Alvin still is collecting his thoughts on it. But yeah, it's been us from What do you think? Have a great one, guys. See you next time.
See ya.